Welcome to the Quip Corner with Ada. Last week, we started the conversation about wigs. And I told you what the more popular spell out of the word is. And of course, shared my perspective. Remember what we discussed? Okay, I'll put the link up there so you can catch up after this video. Today, I'll spend a bit more time on my spell out, leveraging or weaving in the more popular spell out. And yes, like I promised, I will share the third interesting thing about the word wigs and how a senior pastor used it at a leadership retreat I attended earlier this year. Let's go into the Quip Corner and get this going. See you in a bit. Thanks for staying tuned. So as I said, wigs is something that has become more popular by virtue of the spell out by the Franklin Covey organization or institute. I think that's what they're called. And there's been a book written around wigs and even pigs. Pigs, of course, standing for, well, not of course, but pigs standing for pretty important goals. And wigs, you remember, they say it's for wildly important goals. Before I read the quip for today, I will read out something one of the co-authors of the book titled, let me get the title right, The 4 Disciplines of Execution. Yes, I'll read out what one of the co-authors said. Chris McChesney said, you have to decide what your highest priorities are and have the courage to pleasantly and smilingly, unapologetically, to say no to other things. So in my words, you need to know what you want to know what to say no to. Sounds like a great quip if you ask me. Well, that dovetails very nicely into one of my quips, which I will use as a launching pad for today. And that's a quip from my first book. I think I have actually shared this quip before, but quips never go old. It's this quip at the top, which is quip 54. And it says, learning to say no without feeling guilty gives you the opportunity to say yes to other things with pleasure, not pressure. Learning to say no without feeling guilty gives you and I the opportunity to say yes to other things with pleasure, not with pressure. When I think about WIGs, i.e. word-inspired goals, if you don't know what your goals are, you won't know what to say yes or no to. Yeah, because you could be saying yes to things that would distract you and saying no to things that will assist you. We talk about having SMART goals. Yes, it's great to have SMART goals, but even better to be smart about your goals. Because saying yes to everything will most likely cause you to end up with nothing. And nobody wants that for themselves. I don't. And I sure hope you also don't want that for yourself. One thing is known without a doubt: goals don't achieve themselves. And Napoleon Hill said, a goal is a dream with a deadline. So if you keep saying yes to whatever comes your way, you may never get to that point of achieving your goal. Annette White, I believe, yes. Annette White said, dare to dream, then decide to do. Lots of D's. Dare to dream, then decide to do. Remember the quote I read from Chris about the courage, because it takes courage. And sometimes the courage to do includes the courage to say no to things that would not further the achievement of your goals. Before I go too far, let me quickly share with you what I had mentioned that our senior pastor had shared at the women's conference. I actually brought my notebook so that I don't mix things up. Let me grab it. So, in talking to us about the importance of knowing and doing what God has assigned us to do, remember WIGs, Word Inspired Goals? He said we need to increase in wisdom. Godly wisdom, of course. We need to increase in wisdom. He also said that wisdom is required to understand the times and what approach to apply. Wisdom also helps us choose our battles. He then said we also need intelligence, spiritual intelligence, not village wisdom. Spiritual intelligence. We needed discernment to be able to understand what needs to be done. Oh, he actually even said we need the discernment to know which spirit is at work. Because sometimes people come to you with suggestions and they may sound like good suggestions, but they could be taking you the wrong way. So, intelligence. And then he said we need grace. So, wisdom, intelligence, spiritual intelligence, and grace. WIG. He said we need to go to the grace station to get a top up now and again. Because without God's grace, there's very little we can accomplish. I couldn't agree more. Because, there's so many things out there that tell us about how we need to achieve our goals. Roy Bennett said something about our goals being roadmaps to our destination. Okay, I'll put the full quote somewhere in this video. And then Jim Rohn said something about you may not be able to change your destination overnight, but you can change your direction. And so if you think about having word-inspired goals and leveraging wisdom, intelligence, spiritual intelligence, and grace, you can accomplish those goals. You can, if you know who and what to say no to. So they're all interconnected. They're all interconnected. What you say yes to or no to can be the marker between achieving the goal or missing the mark altogether. Sometimes when we're even pursuing those word-inspired goals, people with the best of intentions could mislead us. Case in point, Saul and David. when David was going up against Goliath. Let's read it together so you see what I mean. In 1 Samuel 17:38 and 39, the Bible tells us, well, prior to this, David had had the conversation with Saul to say, oh, I'm going to deal with Goliath. And Saul said, you will what? Do you know who you are compared to who he is? Well, David said, I still will go. So Saul, best intentions, I got to help this boy so he doesn't just go there and commit suicide. In verse 38, then Saul dressed David in his own gear, putting a coat of armor on him and a bronze helmet on his head. David strapped his sword on over the armor, but couldn't walk around well because he'd never tried it before. I can't walk in this, David told Saul, because I've never tried it before. So he took them off. This was the right no to say in order to say yes to his wig, which was a word-inspired goal. So I'm curious, how easy is it for you to say no in order to focus on the right wig or wigs? That's definitely something that I need to do a better job at. And dare I say, I suspect you too. Yeah, saying no is not the easiest thing. Well, we can learn from Steve Jobs, who said, it's only by saying no that you can concentrate on the things that are really important. So, how easy has it been for you to say no? It'll be great to read your comments on how you have learned to say no in order to say yes to the right wigs. May God give us the wisdom we need to say no to the wrong things and yes to the right things gracefully each time. Until we catch up again, keep pursuing your wigs. They look good on you. Bye now.